Welcome to part 5, my final video on how I'm going to finish the tiger. To start off with, I'm going to use some Ammo by Mig dry earth splashing effects, and I'll make a wash using this and some enamel thinners. Apply it to the tracks. The rear lower hole, and just blend the edges with some thinner. And then I'll do the spec clean using a cocktail stick and an old brush. Watch the video and you'll see how I do it. Using a brush dampened with some thinners, I'm now going to run some of the speckles down just to get a dust effect as if it's been running down the mudguards. While the dry earth is still damp, I'll take some dark earth pigment and an old brush. I'm going to apply this to the centre of the tracks to start with. Also use my finger to remove some of the pigment. Then on to the lower hole, just dabbing it in and running it along. It doesn't have to be neat. Then here and there on the outside of the tracks. And don't forget underneath the mudguards. Now the rear of the hull. And then using some makeup applicators, then remove more of the pigment from the track cleats for the effects that come later. And here I am, just moving it, just scraping it along and removing a lot of it from the tracks. Once the pigment has dried, I use a stiff brush just to remove some of it from where the wheels would have removed the dirt as it's running along the inside of the track. To add some more rust effect to some of the tools and a few pieces of equipment on the vehicle, I'm now going to use some burnt sienna and some thinners. Thin it down, as I said, with some thinners. Apply drops to the tools and then using thinners blend it out. I'll just use some of this colour to add a little tone to the handles. And since the jack's been so heavily chipped, I added some rust to that as well. Once again, taking the dry earth splashes and an old brush, I'm now going to apply it to the edges of the track. And to the rear side of the hull. And do a little bit of speckling where the track's thrown some of the grime up. You have to build this up in stages, don't do too much all at once like when I first used it. You do have to build it up in stages and it looks more realistic that way. And as I said, use some clean thinners just to remove some of the dry earth. To add another tone to the weathering process, I'll now use some earth effects and speckle these to the rear side of the hull. It just gives it a damp look when they might have driven through some puddles and sun. Onto the tracks and onto the rear where you think it might have gathered. Now taking some 502 Absolute engine grease, raw umber, yellow ochre, sap green, white, Naples yellow, burnt sienna, Prussian blue, buff, olive green. I'll put these on a piece of paper just to remove some of the linseed oil, and then mixing all the colours of the base coat. I'll then pick out the bolts, latches, catches and all other areas of the model you want to stand out. And it just gives them a bit more of a 3D effect. But don't forget to make sure the colours correspond to the base coat colours underneath. Don't forget the hatches. And the exhaust, where you can just blend it in. But I also did this on some of the spare tracks on the turret, just to give the look of it being painted while they were hanging there, and then the paint's worn away. To enhance the chipped effect of the zimmerit, use the oils, make them slightly lighter than the base coat and paint around the edges. And then pick out other parts of the zimmerit, just where it might have been scratched, etc., as it's moving through underbrush or in battle. On the towing shackles or towing eyes. As you can see, it's quite effective as adding a worn look to the equipment. And picking out the bolts on the stowage box. If you make a mistake, just take some clean thinners, wash it away and start again. Added more chip into the turret just to enhance the chips. To add a metal sheen to parts on the model, and I'll take a file, pencil, graphite sticks graphite pencil, rubber tipped pencils, a couple of old brushes and some makeup applicators. I'll use all this for the next stage. Rub a graphite stick along the file to get some of the powder off. Take a rubber tip pencil, dip it in the powder and then just run it along the track cable and just gives it that bit of a metal sheen. And then just use my finger, just polish the graphite a little bit more to make it shine. I wasn't too happy with the look of the cables, so I took the graphite stick and run that along it as well. And run it along the side skirts, just to give an edge of metal being worn through the paint. Don't forget to do all this to the towing cables on the top of the vehicle as well. Also use the pencil on the eye of the cable. And to enhance the cable a little bit more and to add a few more dinks here and there. It just helps it stand out a bit. Don't forget the machine gun. Add a little bit of a metal sheen to the tracks on the front of the hull. Then polishing the graphite with my finger. And now using the pencil to pick out the edges on the tools. And around the edges of the hatches to show a bit of wear. Some of the spare tracks, if you want to add a little more metal sheen to them, where they've not all rusted up. Using the pencil on the turret just to add a sheen to the edges of the panels. And polishing the commander's machine gun ring with some graphite on my finger and just rub it around. You can also use your finger just to make it shine a little bit, like on the stowage box here. And just finish it off with a pencil. To get the effect of where the wheels have been running along the track, I'll just take the pencil and run it along backwards and forwards until you're happy with the look. And on the edge of the wheels as well. So taking a makeup applicator, I'll now run the graphite powder over the cleats of the track and just give it a bit of a polish. And on the edges of the track as well. Now to get a high sheen on some of the cleats, take a Tamiya chrome pen, dip my finger in it, rub some of it off and just lightly run it over the track, just to pick up those cleats, as you can see. And now on the edge of every other track. And then using this colour, just painted the guide horn and the teeth of the sprocket, just to give them a bit more of a shine. I then took some black pigment and with a soft brush added the exhaust soot . And the soot that gathers around the barrel after firing. And there she is done. I hope you can see the accumulation of all the effects and how it makes the model look more realistic. To finish off the model, I previously painted a figure in oils and acrylics, and there's now time to put him into place. And there you are. I do like adding a figure to my models because I think it gives them a sense of scale, as you can see here standing next to the turret. And that's it done. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Tell your mates, it really does mean a lot. On my next video, it's going to be about Academy's 76mm armed Sherman, fitted with some sandbags. So keep your eyes peeled. Catch you later. Bye.